Good Monday morning. On the topic of Bible, Acts 6, and I got 7 smaller because we're going into 7 a little bit. We're talking about delegating authority and connecting Christ to Judaism. All right, first of all, in Acts 6, verse 1, my heading says the choosing of the 7. In those days, when the number of disciples was increasing, the Grecian Jews among them complained against the Hebraic Jews because their widows were being overlooked in the daily distribution of food. Now, the Grecian Jews would be Hellenistic or Gentile-born, probably Jews, or half-breed Jews, or a Greek dad and a Hebrew mom. Hebraic Jews would be ones who were fully Hebrew, fully Jewish. And it looked like the Jewish widows, which were the most, the women that were in the toughest spot, being a widow, they were getting preferential treatment over the Grecian widows. And it looked like there were just sort of things that were popping up in the church that all these guys who were preaching really couldn't get to. And what they're told to do is to delegate authority. Now, sometimes it's hard for us to give up any authority. It's hard for us to give up control. We like to be the big top cheese, maybe of our bedroom or of the classroom or on our team or something like that. And sometimes it can be intoxicating where we are in charge and then we get a little bit more power, we want more and more and more, and we have to let go. And it's interesting because God really gave us that example from the very beginning. He said, hey, I built you this garden, Adam and Eve, take care of it. You know, I'm giving you this job. The very first job ever given was to take care of the earth. He had the early priests, the Levites, help him out by going through all the sacraments. When Jesus ascended, he's saying, hey, go out into all the world. It's on you guys now. Don't worry, I'll be with you. But in this case here, the Peters and the disciples and so on, they were busy preaching and they couldn't handle these other issues in the church, like who's going to get what. Verse 2, so the 12 gathered all the disciples together and said, it would not be right for us to neglect the ministry of the word, that means the preaching of God, in order to wait on tables. Brothers, choose 7 men from among you who are known to be full of the Spirit and wisdom. We will turn this responsibility over to them, and will give our attention to prayer and the ministry of the word. Anyway, they give those duties over to some other people. But in the next verse, this proposal pleased the whole group. They chose Stephen, a man full of faith and of the Holy Spirit also. Now listen to these names. Philip, Prochorus, Nicanor, Timon, Parmenas, and Nicholas from Antioch, a convert to Judaism. Right away from the beginning, the people there were choosing to do great stuff in the church were either non-Jews or they were born a non-Jew and became a Jew. These are very Greek names, like a name like Nicholas. We talked about that before. It comes from the god Nike, victory. It's all about winning. Any name that has an us on the end, it's all Grecian. So the word of God spread. The number of disciples in Jerusalem increased rapidly, and a large number of priests became obedient to the faith. Now the next part is about Stephen. And maybe we know, maybe we don't know about Stephen being the first martyr. And he gets pulled aside, and I'd like you to read that, about how he gets stoned. But before he gets stoned, he gets a trial. And he does this walk through. The question on here, Stephen is charged with blasphemy. Why does he go through a lengthy walk through the biblical time during his trial? What he's trying to do there is he's trying to take Judaism and the whole timeline of Judaism and connect it with Jesus, and to show that they're not different, that Jesus is completing what Judaism is. He's continuing what it is. It's not an offshoot that takes off from Judaism, and now we got 2 planes. He's saying, no, it's all one. and he connects it all together. And then next time when we talk about chapter 7, we'll talk more about Stephen being stoned. All right? If you could fill out those 2 questions.